Hi, this is Julie here, and today's video is going to be on how I actually glaze my beads, my double hole beads as well as my regular paper beads. This first part is going to be about stringing them and getting them ready for glazing. And basically what I do is I put them on 50-pound test fishing line, and when I get started stringing them, I actually go ahead and I measure what I want to use. Usually I use 12 inches, and this is the way I actually do it. Okay, I use the 50-pound test fishing line. Looks something like this. I was able to get this 50-pound test 275 yards for about 10 bucks. At Walmart, I think. My husband's the one that actually picked it up for me. Okay, this one I'm going to string the double hole beads first. So I need 24 inches for this. Basically, you need to make it as long as you need for hanging, for whatever height you have for your hanging thing, or the amount that for the beads that you actually have. And I use crimp beads to keep my strings together. Okay, and sometimes this 50-pound test can be interesting to put on the two thicknesses of the fishing line, but this actually seems to be working just fine. I bought 2mm crimp beads just for this use. And you don't really need to crimp them like you normally would for jewelry. You're basically making a stopper. Okay, so that's that part. Close that so I don't dump them. And I make waist beads for my first and last bead, because when I hang them, the glaze is going to drip down, and if I didn't have the waist beads, most of the glaze would end up being in the hole, and the last bead and the first bead would be unusable. So I made a waist bead, and I put it on the two strands, and then I'm just going to put the rest of them on, just like this. And I found that I did not get this idea out of my own head. This was actually from Lisa of Beyond Bracelets, actually. She is the one that came up with the idea of using the waist beads. Great idea. And she's absolutely right. But she uses two on one end. Since I invert mine, I found that I can use one at each end, and that'll work just fine for me. I invert them so that the glaze will be covered on the beads evenly. And, well, I'll show you that when I do the dipping part. But for now, I'm just stringing these beads. And I'm also going to show you how I prepare and string the regular beads as well. Okay, just a few more here. Yeah, it does take time to make the waist beads, but it's definitely worth it, because if you don't have the waist beads, like I said before, your first and last bead will be unusable. You won't be able to get thread through it once you take it off of the fishing line. And you'll see that after the last coat is done. Okay, so I have them all strung on there, and I'm going to put the last waist bead on there. And then I'm going to put a crimp bead on. And since I want a tiny bit of slack for loosening the beads between the coats, I'll put this right on the very end and crimp it. And by crimping it with a crimp bead, it gives the little binder clip something to hang on to. Okay, let me grab my crimper here. Well, actually, these are chain nose pliers, and that makes crimping them flat really easy. Okay, so that's done. Okay, so that's it for the double hole beads. That's what you want to do. Okay, set that aside, and now I'm going to go ahead and take one of my pre-cut strands here, maybe a longer one. You can reuse these, but just make sure that you put the crimps at the very, very ends, so that way when you can reuse them by cutting off the crimp. And when it gets to be too short to use, then you just cut out a new one. Okay, from your supply of fishing line. Okay, so I'm going to put a waist bead on. Okay, bring that all the way down to the end. And this time I'm just going to string a bunch of these little tiny beads that I've made that match. This will take a few minutes. Now, if you're the type to like to keep all your beads on strings, instead of cutting them apart, you can add a loop at the very end if you want to of your strand. And I actually have prepared some like this. You can put a loop on the end, so that way you can hang them up in the future. But if you are going to take your beads off when you store them, then you can do what I just did and just put the crimp on the very end. And the crimp will stay there until you cut it off. No worries about that. And you're going to want to keep a little bit of slack on your strands here. For between coats, you want to move your beads around and separate them and before you dip them again. You want to do that after each coat. It just makes for better beads, and they don't get all glued and stuck together permanently. So a few more. Well, actually I'm just going to fill this until I have about an inch left, and then I'll put the other then I'll put the waist bead on and the crimp on the end. Okay, it's going to take me just a few more minutes here. Okay, you can mix up your beads if you want, or you can have all the same type of beads on your strands. It's totally up to you. Okay, a few more minutes. Alright, almost there. And if any of you have been to my Facebook page for the paperbeadcrafts.com site, you'll see my drying rack that I use. It's made out of PVC pipe and wooden skewers at the top. And it's about 12 inches high, a little bit more than 12 inches high, and 12 inches wide, and 12 inches deep. Almost a cube. And that's what I use to dry them on, and the next part of the video I'll show you how I actually use it. And just a few more beads. Yeah, okay, I'll put a few blue ones on there. Okay, I think that would be enough. And I'll put this last waste bead on there. And one more crimp. Okay. And I actually bought these dark copper crimp beads just for this use from Oriental Trading, and I didn't really pay that much for them. They were actually on sale. I think I paid like $5. Actually, it ended up costing me about $13 for 1,000 crimp beads. That's including shipping. So, and I bought them specifically for this purpose. Okay, that's it for now. And in the next part, you'll actually see me getting ready to actually dip the beads and hang them up. So, see you later. Okay, Julie here again, and this time I'm going to show you how I actually glaze my paper beads. And what I use is PC-Petrifier, and for the first 4 coats. And the first coat I let sit overnight for about 8 hours, and right now it's 8 o'clock at night, so I'm going to go ahead and do this now. And I prepare my strings like I did before. I got them ready, and I put them on these binder clips so that they can hang up on my bead rack here that I've got. And unfortunately you can't really see the top of it. I'm going to raise my camera so you can see it. Maybe. Nope, that's the highest it will go. Okay. But anyway, I've got some wooden skewers at the top of my hanger here, and that's what I'm actually going to use. I'm going to back up a little bit. Maybe you can see it. There we go. Okay, so this is what I do. And I'm going to move up a little closer again and get started. Okay. In this tub, I have my PC-Petrifier, which I actually bought by the gallon. And I'm going to put a little bit more in there, because I don't have quite enough to get me started. And this white container that I'm using is actually a sherbet container. I actually went to the store and bought some sherbet, and just so I could have the container, because I know it has a tight fitting lid. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the binder clips on the strands that I just strung. There's one. Set that aside. Okay, here's 2. And I'm going to set that one aside. And number 3 on the loop. There we go. And one more. Put that there. And it holds pretty well. Okay, and one thing I do is I make sure that I hang on to it with my left hand and clip my locking tweezers to the other side, because I don't want to get my fingers wet with this PC-Petrifier, and I don't want to get the actual clip wet either. But I dip it right in here, just like this, and I leave it in there for a count to 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way up to 30. And I lift it up, put it back in 4 or 5 times. That way it gets inside the holes. And that'll actually make these beads, believe it or not, waterproof. Okay, I'm just about done with my 30 seconds. Okay, so I shake it out, get as much of the excess off as I can, and then I put it on my hanger. Okay, and push it back. Okay, so I'm going to do the next one. Clip it onto my little holder here, my tweezers, dip them in. Alright, so I think that's good enough. 15 to 30 seconds, that's really all you really need. Okay, and then I'm going to put the next one on here. And you want to make sure that the beads go all the way down and all of them are touching each other. Okay, clip the next one. Okay. Shake it off, bang it. Okay, and put that one on there. Push it down, there we go. And let's do another one. Flip it on and dip it in. Now I got this idea for using this drying rack from Lisa from Beyond Bracelets, and she made hers out of cardboard, which I thought was way cool. I actually made one out of cardboard myself, but I needed something that I could actually take apart and put into storage if I needed to. And this one is actually made out of CPVC pipe, the off yellow colored type, 1/2 inch size, and I can take it all apart, even pull the skewers out and put it in a box and store it when I need to. I haven't taken it apart yet. I don't plan to anytime soon, but I can if I want to. And let's see, one thing that I've done also is, one way that I keep track of how many coats I've put on is I actually made myself a whole bunch of number beads. And the number beads are just that. They have like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 6 coats. Sometimes I want 6 coats. It depends on what type of beads I'm making. But since these are the first coat, I'm just going to go ahead and put the number 1 beads on there. Find one that fits. Okay, these here are actually made with paper clips inside. And these here were just made with some craft wire that I had. I think that was 16 gauge. Or it might have been florist wire, I don't remember exactly. I'll put that on the next one. So I put those on all of them, and then when I go invert them and turn them over for the next coat, I'll use the number 2. And then when I do the third coat, I'll do the number 3, and so forth. And the Vibrance would end up being the 5th coat. So that's it for now. You basically know how I dip my beads and get them all ready. So the next step will be the second coat and inverting them, and I'll show you that tomorrow after I've let these sit overnight. And have a good night. Hello everybody. Okay, today is the second day and I'm getting ready to do the second coat on these beads. So I'm going to take off the numbers. Okay, and put those in here. Alright, and this is what I do to get ready to do the second coat. I just go ahead and take them all off. Break them all apart, make sure that they are moving. You cannot hurt the beads this way. Okay, and then one at a time you're going to make sure that they move freely. No need to take your time with this, just get it done. And put the clip on the other side. And set them aside. It's really cool, they actually just break apart. Okay, put the clips on the other side. Okay, no need to take your time. I mean, there's really no need to take your time and be gentle with them. You want them to break apart. Put the clip on the other end. Get it ready. Because you need to invert them so that they'll get even coverage when you're all done. so they will actually have the even coverage. Okay. Get them all flipped over. Okay. And if you take a look at these waist beads that I talked about previously, they're starting to fill up with the glaze, but the one next to it is fine. Not at all. Pretty cool. Okay. Okay, put this clip on the other end. Okay, and just a few more minutes and I'll have them all prepared to dip again. This is going to be coat number 2. So I'll get my PC-Petrifier ready in just a minute. Okay, almost there. Right now you really can't see much for glaze in there. They don't look very shiny right now. You really do need at least 4 coats. Okay, now I'm ready to start dipping them again. I really don't need the numbers until they're all on there. And just like I did yesterday, I put my locking tweezers on the top, hang on to it with my other hand, and dip it in. This time, there's really no need to hold it in there for, 10, 15, 20 seconds. You can just dip it in there, shake it off, and let it go. Because you've already done the soaking. That part's already done. Now you're just giving it coats. And the way these binder clips are made, it gives you actually great spacing for between your beads. Single strands like these, you can actually butt them up close next to each other, and once they stop moving, they won't touch each other. And so you can actually fit quite a few on this drying rack. Okay, take a few more minutes here, get these done. Get them all in there. Okay, so I've got 4 on this one. I can actually do one more as long as it's a single strand and not the double hole. The double hole beads I can put 3 or 4. And I'm actually going to put some paper towels underneath to soak up better. There we go. Okay, almost done with the single strands here. Okay, and like I said, these binder clips perfectly space them. Okay, so that's that group there. Alright. Just a few more minutes and coat 2 will be done. And then I'm going to do this 2 more times with the PC-Petrifier, and then I'll do 1 coat of Janice May's Vibrance. this stuff right here, it actually works really good for the final coats. I'm almost out, so once that's gone I'll have to get some more. The PC-Petrifier, I bought a gallon. The first one I bought was a pint, and that didn't last me very long. I probably coated maybe 5, 6, maybe 800 beads with it, and I ran out. And so I decided, I liked it so much that I ordered a gallon of it, and I got the gallon from Amazon.com. And it was about $30 less with my Prime account than if I were to buy it from Home Depot. Home Depot has it for about 80 some odd dollars, and I bought my gallon from Amazon for just over $50. And I had, with my Prime account, I had free shipping and it was discounted. So I got lucky with that one. And so far I've used probably, it looks like 2 quarts. Well, quart and a half. Well, actually, more like a quart. And I've done over 1,000 beads so far. It's pretty cool, actually. And with using only 4 coats, I do save on the amount of liquid that I use. Okay. Okay, almost there. One more strand and I'll be able to put my numbers on there. Okay, almost there. And then I just need to let this sit, instead of overnight, just let it sit for about 2 hours, and then I can dip them a third, and then 2 hours after that a 4th time, and then 2 hours after that I can do the Vibrance. So before I go to bed tonight, these will actually be done. And I'm also going ahead and pushing down all my beads so that they're all together, sticking to each other. If I don't do that, some of the beads may end up being unusable because they'll fill up with the glaze. Okay. And that's where the waste beads comes in. The waste beads take up the extra glaze. And they will actually completely plug the holes with the glaze. Okay. Almost there. Now I'm going to put my little numbers on it so I can keep track of how many coats I put on. I know this seems kind of silly, but you know what? Before I had the numbers, my memory is not the greatest with regards to how many times I dip these. So I just go ahead and put my numbers on there. It reminds me that I'm only on dip 2. And then the next coat will be dip 3. And then the coat after that, it will be marked. And that's that. Okay, that's it for now. I'm done for the next couple of hours. And this is actually going to be the end of the video because basically you know how to do it, you know how to invert it, and you know how to glaze them. And that's it. Have a great day.